All right, today we're going to be solving quadratic equations by graphing and using our graphing calculator. We will also be going ahead and estimating those solutions by doing those. Again, hopefully there'll be a video that you can watch on how to do that on your calculator, and hopefully I'll post it this time. All right, so solutions for a quadratic equation. Now there are three different types of solutions. They can either have one real solution. This is when the quadratic comes down and the vertex is just sitting on the x-axis. The x-axis is where we go ahead and always look for our solutions. Never the y-intercept is different. We're looking at the x-axis. Now it could have two real solutions. It could cross twice and have those two values there. Or it could have no real solutions. It have zero solutions because it goes ahead and never touches the x-axis. Now, we do say real solutions, and I will tell you much more about that later on in this chapter, but it is no real solutions in 1 and 2. All right, let's go ahead and look at some of these. All right, so something that's got two real solutions. Now, notice how this is written out. It's x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. That will be typical. You always want to make sure that it does equal 0. Once you have it equal to 0, you want to go ahead and put it as a y equals as opposed to a equals 0. That way we can go ahead and graph it. Now, of course, they go ahead and do it by hand, but you feel free to use the calculator to do so. They start by finding the axis symmetry, that negative b over 2a, and then going ahead and finding the coordinate plane. And then they go ahead and they graph it. Now, this is one that obviously has two solutions. It crosses the x-axis twice. Now, what we're going to want to do is we're going to actually find those solutions. And you can look at your graph here. It says -2 and at -4, so those are my solutions. When you're using the calculator, you have to, of course, use the second calc 0 and left bound, right bound, and all that jazz to get these values. And you will have to do it twice. You have to do it once for each side. So you'll do it once over here and once over here. It's very similar to finding your min or max that we did the other day with the vertex, but you're just finding these different points here with the zeros. And so it's -2 and -4, and that's what we're trying to find today, where it crosses the x-axis. So this one is two solutions, and you tell me both of those solutions. And we can check them if we like, and we do get 0 equals 0, and so they do work out. That is just a self-check to go ahead and make sure. All right, let's try another one. So now we need to go ahead and graph this. 2x plus x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. And you get a graph up, of course. And we have this one here. It crosses here at -3 and 1. We know it's not these upside down ones because our x's are x squared is positive, and then it's just putting it in and finding out which one specifically it is. And that's A over here. All right, what happens if we have one solution? Well, let me show you that type. So notice this original problem, it does not equal 0, so we're going to have to move that 4 over so that it does. And it does need to be in that 0 form, so x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 0. Then you can go ahead and graph that. Again, they use a table. And notice this goes ahead and only touches once. Now, when it only touches once, you can go ahead and try to find the 0 that way. And sometimes your calculator will work or not. But if you know it only touches once, you just find the vertex. And the vertex is here at 2, 0. And so the only solution is 2. It only crosses once. And then we have this one. Again, it's a positive here. So we're talking about these two. And we have a -3 positive. So we have this one, A again. A it is, yeah. All right. Now, not always is it going to cross that exact value, so we need to estimate the roots. So we're still going to do the same thing. We're going to graph it and find the zeros. Now, your calculator will give you a decimal approximation for these. The book kind of just asks you where is it in between. So for this one, it's between 0 here and 1. So obviously a lot closer to the 0 than 1, but they're just saying what consecutive integers are we between? We're between 0 and 1. And over here, we're between 3 and 4. Now, I, of course, will want you to go ahead and find the exact or the approximate values that are there. But the book just talks about between what two areas here. And so, hold on. So it's between 0 and 1 and 3 and 4, or approximately the 0.27 that your calculator gets you, or the 3.73. So these are the values that I'll want or I'll be asking for when it comes to our quiz and our test. All right. So here's another graph. X squared minus 4x plus 2 equals 0. So where is this between? This is between 1 and 0, 0 and 1 again, and also between 3 and 4 again. But again, we can find the exact values, or 0.59 and 3.41. They also talk about using your table to go ahead and find the value. So x squared plus 5x minus 7, and we can look at our table. This is just another way to kind of look at it and kind of think about it. Now we want to go ahead and they're going to change the table settings, replace it by 0.1 and then 0.01 and 0.001, keep getting more and more accurate to go ahead and figure it out. So let's look at how that goes. So if we're looking here, look at the difference here between 1 and 2 here. We go from 1, which is -1, and 2 to 7. It's got to be 0 somewhere in between that spot because it goes from -1 to 7. So they went ahead and zoomed in a little bit. So they went from 1 to 2, and again, they're looking at those values. And so here's the negative, there's the positive, so it's 1.1 or 1.2, somewhere in that area. And you can keep going. Now, this is scientific notation mentioning that it's like a really, really small number because it's e to the -4. That moves the decimal point 4 over. So there's 4 zeros before our number, or 3 zeros before our number. All right. And so they just said at that point, when we get that low of a number, that's fine. That's our answer. And again, we can just put it into our calculator at that point and find out the exact value also, or the approximate solution too. But this just kind of shows you that you can go ahead and kind of look at in between numbers to go ahead and find out where the 0 actually exists. So you can do the same thing here, and they just want the second 0, and that's this value here if you tried it. All right. That's what I have for you tonight.